Here we are, here we are. My lavalier cable is completely tangled. Give me a moment to fix that. All right, that is better. All right, I realized I haven't touched my bell brass snare in quite some time since I put a new head on it. So I figured, why not bring it in here and mess around with it so you can kind of hear what I hear. By the way, this insane recording is something I did 12 years ago. I was experimenting with free improvisations and just mixing them left, right, center and putting them together and seeing how it all fits or doesn't fit. Pretty crazy. The inspiration was the practice rooms at the University of the Arts in the old Miriam Theater. Not very well sound isolated, so you could hear everyone just chopping out all day long, and it sounded a lot like this. It's a fun experiment. But that's not why we're here. We are here to try to figure out if a bell brass snare is really worth it, because they are not cheap. The one I have is by Masters of Maple. They don't offer them anymore, but it was to be an exact replica of the Tama shell. I believe they even went to the same foundry. And they might have only made like 20 or 25 of them. I snagged one back when they first came out, so I'll bring that up here in a moment. First, just listen to get a kind of baseline. Oh, also, my artist model snare for Bucks County is now available for purchase. So this guy, you can get it over at Bucks County Drums website. I think it's $9.99, which is definitely a very fair competitive price for a handmade custom drum with nothing but the highest quality components. And he also has a payment plan there, so you could do, I think it's like $50 a month, something like that, $60 a month. So go check that out. Super stoked. I'll do a full demo kind of feature on that in the other studio soon. For now, it's being used as a side snare for my my gig kit upcoming with Jeff Taylor. But it doesn't need to be relegated to that. It does all kinds of different sounds. So that's a little side note. The artist model drum that I've been talking about for a while on here is now finally available at Bucks County Drums website. All right, here's the Satin Brass. I have it tuned and muffled, and the wires are loose to match Matt Johnson's snare sound on Jeff's record. So that's kind of give a baseline for what the drum I've been using every day sounds like in this space. Let's put this over here. Let's get this massive, heavy bell brass up here and see how it sounds. So it is a 6.5 inch deep shell. It does have die cast hoops. It's got these massive, chunky, solid brass agile lugs, which are available at Drum Factory Direct. Die cast hoops, Look at this thing, it's a monster. Heavy patinaed cast bronze shell. Trick throw off. Plastic washers on the tension rods. Pretty wild. Masters of Maple badge. I have an Evans Power Center reverse dot head on it, which I said yesterday is not my favorite head, but it's what I had when I put the heads on here, so it's what I've got. Yeah, it sounds fine, I just don't like the feel of these Power Centers, but let's hear it wide open. Good morning, Ryan. Is it still morning? I don't know, it's noon here. It ain't morning. I've been up for 5 hours almost. But good afternoon. Oh, you said afternoon. Maybe I have got morning brain. Good afternoon. So that is, let's see where it's tuned, because I just kind of messed with the tuning very briefly yesterday. Let's see. F sharp. Yeah, F sharp 186, which is my kind of starting point for most drums. What do you think? Does it sound good? What's up, Chris? Loving the toms. Yeah, they are sounding really nice. And I barely even tuned them. They're just low. Mahogany poplar shells with an ash veneer. Bucks County Relic Series. Solid brass. Single flange hoops. Yeah, Ryan, the setup, the camera switching, all that is being done via Stream Deck. I have it set up to do some automations. Shout out to Dan Drumstone for walking me through how to do all of that. So I don't have to touch anything. I just hit a button and it switches the cameras. Rather than what I have also for other stuff is I have a Blackmagic switcher, but you have to manually push the buttons. So this has been super cool. So it just kind of rotates the cameras as we go. And then I can stop it and manually select whatever angle I want, but we'll just keep it rotating. Okay, so that is the wide open bell brass. I can say 100%, which is why I don't use this drum super often. It really enjoys being hit hard. And I don't play a lot of situations where I need to be really smashing anymore. I used to play in some hard rock bands where this was perfect. So it really kind of opens up the harder you hit it. I don't think there's a ceiling for it, honestly. So that's kind of in the medium high. Let's take it up to the G sharp. Hear right away how the tone kind of starts to disappear. All right, there's a G sharp, 207 Hertz. I'm even noticing that my interface input is peaking a bit from this super loud drum. Pretty crazy. So it's like even getting through the compressor and putting out some serious sound. So this is tuned up to a G sharp. I think it does need a little bit of dampening. Let's just see what I got in here. All right, that's with 1/4 sized, I don't know which brand gels these are. Might be the True Tone by Revolution. That's a pretty aggressive sound. You've got the head black on brass. I have that drum as well. That's a cool drum, and you're right. It does kind of have that density. This is, obviously you can't tell when it's going through cables and interface and over to the interwebs, but it is way louder. Hey man, it came with die-cast tubes. That's what they put on it. I got no control over that. And I don't remember, I'm not sure I asked Cy about that when I got the drum. This is the drum for the heaviest hitters, so they're gonna obviously use the heaviest parts. You cannot dent a die-cast. You can crack a die-cast, but you cannot dent it like a triple flange. I envision the people using this drum most often are swinging from the fences and probably bending triple flange hoops. It also does focus the sound. I bet if I put a triple flange on this thing, it would just ring for days. So I don't love the way it feels, but it's appropriate for this drum. Queens of Stone Age. This is the drum for that. Yeah, die-cuts are great if you're into it. I don't like the way they feel, and I don't generally like what they do to the tone. Unless a drum needs some control, when that's when the die-cuts really kind of does that. The bias, what drum is it and why you have it out? This is a monster Masters of Maple bell brass. I got this drum at the exact same time as I got my Black Ugly, and this is when they were maybe the pioneers of the patina, the heavy patina drums. I don't think everyone was doing that when I got this drum. Is there a date on it? 2014. I've had this drum since May of 2014. Limited edition 6.5 by 14 bell brass. I don't know how many they made. It said the original bottom head on it. The top head has been changed a few times. But it's a beast. Why do I have it out? I was organizing my snare rack, and this thing has been relegated to the bottom rack because it's so freaking heavy. It's got to be close to 30 pounds. But it's one of the more kind of supreme drums I own. 3 mil. It was made to be identical to the original Tama bell brass. So I guess that's 3 mil, no rings. From what I recall, they actually found the foundry that made the original Tamas and hired them to make, I think, 25 of them maybe. So it's as close to like a replica Tama shell as you can get, as far as I know. And I lost my gel. Where did it go? There it is. This thing has probably lost its stickiness. Let's see. Yeah. So the drum I got at the time, I was playing in some hard rock bands around New Jersey. And we were playing in rooms that had really crappy, super crappy PA systems, and I need to hit hard. And this thing does it. It really likes to be kind of cracked pretty hard. It's even like making the snare, this lightweight snare stand kind of go crazy. Yeah, those Tempest cast bronze shells are amazing, absolutely amazing. I think that stuff came out after Masters of Maple released these. The bell brass was kind of forgotten about for a bit there. And then the Masters of Maple came out with a true one. This is a true bell brass. A lot of the other ones that are advertised as bell brass are not. They're just a brass tube that's been cut, where this is actually cast. Ochiltree did some cast bronze, super expensive. This was not a cheap drum. It was like well over $1,000 bucks. But yeah, that Tempest stuff now, that's the best stuff out there, because you can't get this drum anymore. I mean, that's kind of like it's the opposite of the Black Ugly for me. The Black Ugly is like vibe and kind of like overtone, kind of complexity and warmth and brashness. This is just like straight down the middle, chop to the gut power, which is perfect for modern rock. And there's been some sessions I've used it on recently where I'm not smacking it, but it really just is the rock and roll drum. I just don't do a lot of that music anymore. I'm never going to get rid of it, but it just doesn't get much use, and it's a shame. All right, so that's the high tuning. Let's bring it down and kind of see what happens with the little bit of dampening on it. So that's G sharp. Yeah, let's take it down. Just go down a half step to G. Which ends up being barely even 1/8 of a turn. It's like 196 hertz, 195. That's where we're at now. Yeah, this drum actually fell in my old studio. I had it on like a tower of drums. I didn't have racks, so I had like drums kind of piled up in a tower, and it was somewhere towards the top. And it took a spill, and it was super loud. Didn't damage the drum at all. But man, what a crash! So that sounds amazing to me. Let's go down another half step. F sharp. This is not a drum that I would take on everyday gigs. It's just so heavy and loud. I know there's a bit of to say a drum is loud is kind of silly because you can play every drum quietly, but this is more drum than most rooms need, quite frankly. All right, we're back to F sharp, 185. Still sounds pretty dope. So that's F sharp, so we're getting to the mid range. Take it down to an F. Which is roughly 175 hertz. kind of getting to that thumpy Dave Grohl world. Let's go to an E. I don't know if Cy would mind me telling the story, but he teched for Foo Fighters and Queens of Stone Age and Butch Walker and Grohl, Taylor Hawkins, and Butch. From the way Cy tells it, they all kind of fought over who would get a bell brass. I think they each ended up buying like several. It's like a little bit of a competition amongst them. Reminds me, because this thing is really versatile. It might not have the most like vibe. I wouldn't use this with like an indie folk act or something. But it kind of just does what it needs to do for a snare drum in most situations. And I remember Ryan Hoyle telling me he was in Collective Soul at the time. Or maybe he had just left Collective Soul and was getting his studio up and running. And I asked him, you know, like, if you only have one snare out of these 50, what would it be? And he said, man, if you can get a bell brass, a real bell brass, you can sell everything else. I don't 100% agree, but you probably could get away with most things with this. All right, now we're down to a D sharp. We're getting pretty low. I think if I was going to go for that super low thing, it needs a little bit more dampening, but it's getting there. Adam, Donut 2N Brass. That's a great drum. I have a 2N Bronze. Maybe I'll bring that in here and we'll check that one out soon. I have the Gorgo Borlai signature model, 6.5. Okay, that's D sharp. Can it go any lower, folks? I think with this drum, I would put a coated G2 instead of this Power Center reverse on. It's just starting to feel like dead in the middle. Too dead. We are down there. That's a D, 147 hertz. So what is unique about this drum at that tuning is you can still hit rim shots. Most drums at this low of a tuning, I mean, it's low. Most of drums in my experience at this low of a tuning, rim shots just sound really bad. There's just no life to them. Somehow this one kind of holds up better. And I'm all out of muffling in this space for now. I have to find some more containers of random stuff. Yeah, that's empty. Because I think it needs just one more little gel. I don't know if you can hear what I'm talking about. The rim shots still sound pretty good. I think it might fall apart if we go any lower. Let's see. It's almost at a C sharp now. Let's keep going. This is probably going to be where the head just disengages. C sharp. C sharp. It's pretty much right where my artist model drum is. That's a pretty massively fat sound by comparison. Or that's kind of like old school and dusty. This is still like real focused and strong and present, which, you know, not surprised considering how popular these drums are. So that's about as low as I can go. I cranked up the wires to get that kind of compressed response, which then means I can't hit it that hard. does it all, huh? What do you think? Is it worth it? Is this a $1,000 drum? Would this replace effectively 3 or 4 drums? If you think high, medium, low, and then super low. Can it do all 4 of those? Which then effectively you're getting 4 $250 drums. Pretty cool. I like it higher, frankly, but it can do the low thing. Really nice. Just gonna randomly take it up a bit. With the wires cranked like that and tuned pretty high, whatever that ends up being, there's like no overtone. It's like gated in a good way. It's like 191 hertz, so it's like a flat G. I'm gonna leave it there. It's like it has a natural kind of gating to it. So there you have it. That is the Masters of Maple Bell Brass limited edition. Is it worth it? I think 100%. I don't know that I can get that exact kind of really dense, controlled, powerful sound from any of my other drums. So yeah, Bell Brass. If you get a real one, the ones that the cheaper ones that I've tried in the past that aren't actually cast, that are just cut from a pipe, they don't have all that coolness. They're loud, do heavy, and they have all that, but they don't have all that coolness. There's no way I can describe it. They're just cooler. All right, I've got to hop off. Thank you for logging in. That is the Bell Brass Snare. I'll be back to, tomorrow I will maybe do that Danette drum. So see you then. Have a good one.